on some of those Pakistani nukes, whether they can use them or not. That might be the kind of great fear, the shock out in the world that would do it. Another possibility, there's a civil war going on in Yemen, and in this civil war, the Iranians are on one side and the Saudis are on the other side. The Iranians are backing a rebel group, and the Saudis, I guess, are backing the government of Yemen, whatever that is. And there have been clashes. There have been also incidents on the water in the Persian Gulf, Arabian Gulf, where the Saudis and the Iranians have clashed. Suppose you had military tension or a military clash between Iran and Saudi Arabia. That's big stuff, because that's your oil. That would pump hot money back to New York.
Stay there. And we know Saudi Arabia is a client state of the U.S., England, and Israel. We'll look at that geopolitical potential and a lot more with Webster Tarpley as we chart the future. I'm Alex Jones. This is Alex. We are back live. Webster Tarpley with us in this segment and the next. Then I'm going to play a whole bunch of audio clips from listeners from the new comment line, 512-646-4444, and try to quickly answer your questions or make my own statement or comment on your comments. That is coming up. And then Alan Combs. I haven't even gotten into a bunch of the news today. We've had so many informative guests. Okay, short segment, Webster. We know that Saudi Arabia has been funding the U.S. and asking the U.S. for a long time to attack Iran. Why is Saudi Arabia after Iran? Just because they want to be the dominant force in the region and Saudi Arabia wants to be the dominant force? Why is there this long standing? Is it because one is a separate group of Islam, the majority group based out of Iran, and we've got based out of Saudi Arabia, and we have the Shiites out of Iran? I mean, is that why this is happening?
Yes, it's partly religious, right? It's partly Iranian Shiites versus the Wahhabites of Saudi Arabia. But remember also, when you had that long Iran-Iraq war, right, that the U.S. had provoked, there was this thing called the Gulf Cooperation Council, which was Saudi Arabia and all the little Gulf Emirates, which had been British puppet states, and they were supporting Iraq against Iran. So there's quite a bit of bad blood. And naturally, the Saudis feel that Yemen is on their side of the Gulf, right? And therefore, they should be the preponderant power. But the Iranians are interested in meddling. Now, this probably. Let
me just ask you real quick. Hold on. What is the real relationship? Is Saudi Arabia still a purely puppet state of Anglo-American oil, of the Anglo-American/Dutch interest, or is it now? Because you talked about that Russia trip, that there may be some shifting.
Yeah, there's this question of Prince Bandar. What happened to Prince Bandar? Where is he? This is Bandar Bush. For a long time, he was considered to be the chief of the pro-U.S. party. This is the guy that spent 9/11 afternoon and evening with Bush in the White House. But we had, in August, reports that Prince Bandar, now the head of the National Security Council, had attempted a coup d'etat in terms of at least the royal succession and had been placed under house arrest. And then we went back and looked at what had Prince Bandar been doing lately, and it was meetings with Putin, trips to Russia, cooperation with Russia, and that all of that necessarily means is that Saudi Arabia wants to be balanced, not a complete puppet state and client state of the U.S., not locked in the deadly grip of Wall Street, but that they'd like to have other options. Of course, that's what the Wall Street characters cannot accept. So I think the internal situation of Saudi Arabia is worth looking at. Here's the other thing. The Hajj, right, the great Muslim pilgrimage, is coming now at the end of this month. It's basically within the next 7 to 10 days. You'll have the people going to Mecca and possibly Medina and then leaving. Now, remember, 30 years ago, when Zbigniew Brzezinski was in the National Security Council, we had a fanatical group, an armed group of about 100 fighters, take control of the Kaaba, right, the central holy site of Islam, and start shooting. And there was an armed confrontation that went on for the best part of a week or two. And that's what you've got to think about. What kind of an event like that, if you had a repetition of that November 1979 attack on Mecca, that I think would tend to shock the world, and people would wonder about the stability of Saudi Arabia, and a whole lot of dollars would flee back to New York under this safe haven. I call this Operation Safe Haven, and I'm wondering if this is the card that Wall Street wants to play. You could also have a coup d'etat in Saudi Arabia, and this could be sponsored by the U.S. Remember, in the Carter administration, Brzezinski was the mastermind of the ouster of the Shah and bringing in Khomeini. Now, what if that happens to the Saudis? I think some of the Saudis realize they may be candidates for that, and therefore they may be thinking, let's try to get the Russians in here or the Chinese or somebody else so that we have somebody to turn to if the Obama administration tries to foment a coup in this way. Now, some of this is speculation, but maybe not so much. If there was a coup attempt in August, there might be another one soon.
But bottom line, the establishment needs global crises. They need to stage events. Could that be staged terror here in the United States? Could it be staged terror in Europe? Could it be a new war with Russia like we saw with 888? I mean, are there other things you see on the horizon?
The doctrine currently, and this is what Brzezinski says, is the U.S. cannot become directly militarily engaged anywhere.
So they want to use puppet kamikazes.
It's enough. You got to play the other countries one against the other. That's why this idea of a conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran over Yemen is such an attractive idea for these people. We've also got to remember Obama is going to escalate the Afghan war very soon. I want to remind people about that interesting anti-war demonstration in Lafayette Park at the White House, Saturday, December 12th at 11 a.m. If you're near Washington, stop by and protest.
All right,
that.
Stay there, Webster. I want to come back, finish up with that, get more into the economy with you, and I've got some other important areas. I want to talk about cap and trade with Webster.
We're on the march.
By the way, a program note here. We have watched all the entries, even a few of the entries we haven't posted yet. Charlie Sheen, in the last month, as they began coming in, watches them every day. Talked to Charlie at length last night. We are down to 2 or 3 winners for 20 Minutes with the President. Spell it out, 20minuteswiththepresident.com. And we've got master list posted at 20minuteswiththepresident.com and Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We've narrowed down some of the finalists, but those still may not be the winners, but they're up on Infowars.com. I'm going to spend several hours tonight on the phone with Charlie Sheen. He's judging, but he wants me to sit there with him and watch him at the same time with him. We'll be like trying to click at the exact same moments we can be. He'll be in his theater, his big theater, his house with YouTube up on the screen watching him. And I'll be at home with the French bulldog running around biting my ankles and the children running around like heathen. They're great. But we're going to be trying to pick the winner tonight. But we'll announce it next Tuesday. Charlie Sheen, 12 noon, next Tuesday, second hour of the show. And we'll be breaking it all down and having the winner on. But when we pick the winner in the next few days, be ready for us to email you or contact your channel so we can have you on with Charlie. There's going to be first place, $14,000, second place, $1,000, third place, $500. And Charlie's paying the $14,000 winner. I'm paying the second and third place winner. And I think Charlie's just going to pick all 3. We'd said he would pick the first person, but we'll just let Charlie pick them all. But we've narrowed down first place to 2 different people, and we're just having a lot of trouble choosing them. I independently thought the one he wants to be a winner. I've already thought that was best. But I'm enough of that. Let's get to the really serious issues. But this is serious. I mean, when we have these contests, hundreds and hundreds of videos get made. Some will get hundreds of thousands of views, some tens of thousands, and you reach millions of people. And now they see the 20 key bullet points of 9/11 being an inside job. Okay, going back to Webster Griffin Tarpley, best-selling author, doctor of history and economics. Webster, finishing up today with the geopolitical developments. If they're not able to carry this new war in the Middle East through, what will they then turn to from your strategic over-the-horizon eagle-eye view? A. B, let's shift gears in closing into cap and trade and your deep research of that. Well,
I think the thing to look at is this wave of Islamophobia that we have. We talked about this last time. We have Major Hassan, the Fort Hood patsy, and more stuff every day about what a patsy he is. Just more details. The concept is he's a patsy. But remember, back in August, we had this guy Zazi, between Queens and Denver. He wanted to blow up New York. He was this radical mosque in Flushing, Queens. Now we've got the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed trial, right? This psychotic patsy and faker and his confrere are going to go on trial in New York. We've got the seizure of these so-called Iranian mosques that are accused of being the property of Bank Melli and the Alavi Foundation of Iran. And there's one right down here in Potomac, Maryland. It's a school. 150 or 200 kids go there, and the feds are seizing it. You've also got the new governor of Virginia, McDonnell. He's a reactionary Republican, and he's owned by this guy, Pat Robertson, the religious leader, if that's what we can call him. And Pat Robertson has been making very incendiary statements that Islam is not a religion. It's a terrible social doctrine, and he takes it quite far. You put all this together, we've got an orchestrated wave of Islamophobia. Now,